I hope they need something else. I don't think the play clock's going to be just it. Obviously, you can't make the game 7 innings or something, but maybe between innings, as you said, commercials are longer. They don't want to lose as much money, but I think it will make a difference. Every half inning there is a break in baseball, and guys are warming up. I can understand. It takes sometimes warm-ups are a good 2-3 minutes. Guys coming in from the bullpen, it's another 5 minutes to warm up when they're on that mound. I say a max of like 5 pitches or something if you're warming up between innings. It's just an idea thrown up there. I know a lot of people aren't going to agree with that, but if we're trying to make the game a little shorter, why not?
I agree, but we're going to move on to the next part of the MLB segment. The Baseball Writers Association has their awards coming out this week. They'll have the Rookie of the Year first, and then the Manager, Cy Young, and followed by MVP. Those will come out at 6 o'clock. So we're going to give you we're going to run down both the AL and the NL finalists and give our picks. First for the Jackie Robinson Rookie of the Year, which will be announced on Monday at 6 p.m. The finalists are Jose Abreu, Dylan Betances, and Matt Shoemaker. Matt, I think it's a pretty easy one. Would you agree?
Yeah, I'm going with Matt Shoemaker. Nope, just kidding. Jose Abreu. Jose Abreu, one of the top leaders in home runs this year. On fire. One guy which the Mets really signed.
Yeah, I agree. I even thought...
How old is Jose? Is he 28 or something? I mean, he counts as a rookie, but this guy can kill the ball. Reminds me of John Carlos Stanton. He's the John Carlos Stanton in the AL, I think. And, the White Sox did get a good pick there. Obviously, it didn't really help on their record that much, but still a good signing nonetheless. Easily, should win the Rookie of the Year. If he doesn't, we'll all be shocked.
Yeah, I agree. I even thought he should have been in the running for the MVP voting, but now maybe we'll see where he finishes when that comes out. But I'm sure he has to be in the top 5. We'll move on to the NL now. The finalists are Jacob deGrom, Billy Hamilton, and Colton Wong. Now, maybe our biases are getting in the way, but I also think that Jacob
I think DeGrom should win it, especially throughout his stretch from really after the All-Star break. He was on fire. I can remember seeing stats on his games when he's pitching 7 innings and giving up either 1 or no runs at all. I mean, he was on fire. He had movement on his pitches. It was just great. He was calm, cool, collected throughout the whole second half of the year. It was really just on fire. And he's definitely going to be a big component in the rotation this year if he stays healthy. Because as you know, with pitchers, they can get hurt at any moment. But DeGrom should easily win it in the NL. I know Hamilton was the talk for a little bit, but DeGrom, especially through August and September, he should win the Cy Young. I mean, and win the Rookie of the Year. My fault.
Let's not go too far there, man. Then we move on to the Manager of the Year. The finalists are Mike Scioscia, Buck Showalter, and Ned Yost. Now the question is, did Ned Yost do enough in the regular season?
I don't think so. I think I'm thinking Mike Scioscia. I think it's gonna be Buck Showalter. I was thinking Mike Scioscia at first, but I really think it was more of an A's collapse than the Angels streak. I know they did really well in August, but I think the A's just doing so bad in August, September really just helped the Angels more. I think Showalter, this was a team that was fighting the AL East throughout the whole year, never gave up, saw a chance when the Blue Jays just collapsed, and took a chance at it and did really well. And Buck Showalter, even with the injury of Manny Machado, who was out for the year, or out for a lot of the year, still managed a good team and a team that won the AL East and a team, obviously we don't count about postseason, but a team, if we're going to go regular season, winning the AL East is pretty good achievement. So I'm going to go with Buck Showalter because he was consistently well, the team was consistently well throughout the year. Angels, there was at points where they were 500, and we weren't really sure what was going on there, if they were even going to make the playoffs because the A's were doing so well.
Let's see, I'm going to have to disagree with you. I'm going to go with Ned Yost, actually.
You're going to go with him. I get it, but I just think it's more of a postseason, the Royals came out of nowhere.
Now, I agree, but if you look at the fact of the winners last year, Terry Francona with the Indians and Clint Hurdle with the Pirates, they took teams that hadn't been in the playoffs in a long time. Even though they were wildcard teams, they still took teams that hadn't been in the playoffs in a long time in the playoffs, and that's something that happened with the Royals this year. I think that same formula is going to be emulated this year in the AL version of Manager of the Year. As I just think that's one of the biggest criteria for the
Writers.
Manager of the Year or the Coach of the Year in sports such as basketball. I think that's usually how it goes. Coach that takes a team that hasn't been in the playoffs in a long time and is able to do so is a manager that usually comes out winning that. And then one of the finalists in the other side, the NL Manager of the Year, is Bruce Bochy, along with last year's winner Clint Hurdle and of course Matt Williams of the Nationals. Matt, who do you got here?
I'm not gonna go with Bochy. I'm gonna go with Matt Williams. The Nats. This was a team that, had one of the best records in the majors at the end of the year. Just did really well, especially with Howard Johnson retiring last year. Just Matt Williams did a great job. Not really trying not to change much or change much in the clubhouse. It's a team that was good throughout the whole year. A team that was top in the NL East throughout the whole year. I know it's not that hard to be that good in the NL East, but they were good. And they were one of the best teams in the NL. Now, in the postseason, yes, they fell apart a little bit against the Giants, but this was a team I thought they did well, and I think Matt Williams does deserve it.
Yeah, again, you said that they lost some playoffs, but obviously these awards are all regular season based. So I'm also going to go with Matt Williams. I think that the Nationals had such a great season this year. They really don't give these awards to managers for 2 years in a row. And I think the Giants didn't really wow teams as much as we thought they did during the regular season.
They were struggling. This was a team, that wasn't first in the NL West for a little bit, but then the Dodgers started doing really well with Kershaw and their pitching staff in general. And the Giants were a really quiet team. Think about both teams this year that made the World Series were teams that we, at one point we were doubting weren't going to make the postseason at all.
Yeah, I agree. I just don't think the Giants really finished on the high note that you expect of a team to win, from a team that's going to have the Manager of the Year. I think the Nationals really, really finished strong. Now, playing the Mets a lot down the stretch really helps that because they met.
Especially when they killed the Mets. They killed the Mets this year. It wasn't, especially in September, they destroyed them.
But I also think something that Matt Williams did really well was the way he handled Bryce Harper. Now, Bryce Harper was really struggling, and he was sort of
hurt
in that clubhouse for a
He was
while.
hurt in April.
Came back from being hurt.
Yep.
Williams stuck by him, moved him down in the lineup, moved him back up, and I think the turnaround of Bryce Harper towards the end of the year is really an exclamation point on Matt Williams winning that award. And in one of the most interesting awards this year, the AL Cy Young, Felix Hernandez, Corey Kluber, and Chris Sale, three very worthy candidates here. Who you got, Matt?
I'm going King Felix. King Felix was him and Kershaw were constantly fighting for the ERA title this year. And I understand Felix did not do as well at the end of the year, but he was still doing pretty well. He finished with like a 2.08, I think. That was his ERA. It was something to that range. But King Felix, I thought he was dominant this year. He really kept the Mariners in the postseason chase throughout the whole year. And I honestly think he should win the AL Cy Young. I think he should win this AL Cy Young, and I think you have a good idea of who I'm going to say for the NL, but I'll let you say who you think is going to win the AL right now.
Well, I'm actually going to disagree with you. I'm going to go with Corey Kluber.
Not Chris Sale? Okay. I was thinking Chris Sale would be my second, but go ahead. Corey Kluber was quiet the whole year.
Yeah,
I don't think most people actually know who Corey Kluber is. If you don't know, he's a pitcher on the Indians.
Corey Kluber
a team that got the worst attendance in baseball this year. So go ahead.
Yeah, Kluber had a fantastic season, really a breakout. Last year, he had a 3.85 ERA, and he brought it all the way down to 2.44 this year. A lot of strikeouts, too. I'm looking for that exact number right now. Just lost it. 269 strikeouts. That's a real lot. Now, he also had a good record of 18-9. That's a lot of wins to have. Now, Felix was 15-6 with with 248 strikeouts, which is still a lot. But Kluber had such a dominating season, and I think it was such an unexpected that it's really going to stick in the voters' the voters' minds, and he's really going to stand out. Felix Hernandez has already obviously won this before. He finished first in the award in 2010. I think that Kluber had such a good year, though, and it was so unexpected that I think he's actually going to take the crown. Chris Sale doesn't really have a chance, in my opinion, because he missed time, and both of the other two starters were tied for the league lead in starts at 34. So I think the fact that both Kluber and Felix Hernandez didn't miss any time and Sale did automatically eliminates him. And Kluber's breakout year really sticks him to the top for me. And we'll save the finalists for the NL Cy Young. Johnny Cueto, Adam Wainwright, and this guy named Kershaw. What's his first name?
I think it's Kerr. I think it's Carshaw. I think it's A. Is it A?
Okay. Well, on any behalf, Clayton Kershaw of the Dodgers had a fantastic season, to say the least. We'll talk about him a little bit more on the MVP side of as he's one of the finalists there. But I think it's pretty clear cut that he's a Cy Young winner this year. But not to detract from Johnny Cueto and Adam Wainwright, who had fantastic seasons as well.
Oh, yeah. Adam Wainwright was with Kershaw for a good amount of the year. But Kershaw, I mean, the guy was just amazing this year. I mean, he had probably the best year, probably the best year I've ever seen. 21-3 with a 1.77 ERA. I mean,
that's unbelievable.
That's insane. I mean, he had a 1.83 last year. That was pretty insane. But 1.77, especially in this day of age, that's incredible. My hat's off to Clayton Kershaw. I think he's winning MVP this year, too. I'm going to say it right now. He's winning NL MVP.
All right, well, while Matt's making his predictions, we'll move on to the NL MVP before the AL MVP. The other finalists are Giancarlo Stanton and Andrew McCutchen. Now, I think this is kind of a two-horse race. Giancarlo Stanton was certainly more in the race than before he got injured at the start of the year.
I think for the MVP, though, I feel like your team has to make the playoffs. That definitely helps. You know, Giancarlo Stanton's team did not make the playoffs. And if let's say that Kershaw was, got Tommy John out for the year, and it was just between McCutchen and John Carlos. I mean, it's just that John Carlos Stanton's, the Marlins did not make the playoffs, and I think writers do look at that and they do see that, these guys don't make the playoffs. But McCutchen was hurt for a good amount of the year too, but he was hurt for a good amount of the year last year and still won MVP. And had a pretty good year, 314, 25 home runs, 83 RBIs, so not terrible. Pretty good, actually. So in my opinion, though, if I had to choose between McCutchen and Stanton, I'd probably go McCutchen for second place.
Now, I would have to go to Stanton. He had 37 home runs.
It's just that his team did not make the playoffs, and I think that really, I feel if I was a writer and I see that, I feel like it really does make an impact. It does make an effect on these voters.
I
That's
see
my
your
opinion.
point, and I am going Clayton Kershaw.
I mean, if we look at the past MVP winners, every single one of them, their teams made the playoffs that year. I'm going to check right now. Exactly. I mean, we look Pujols, when his team was there. Miguel Cabrera, Buster Posey, his team made the playoffs, won the World Series. Ryan Braun, I think in 2011, his team made the playoffs. Yeah, they did. Verlander, Hamilton, Votto. I mean, every single MVP winner that I've seen, their team has made the postseason. And, I think it's just something that it's just happens. Your team makes playoffs, you have a chance to be an MVP candidate. And if you're good, you have a chance to be an MVP candidate. But playoffs, I think, always gives someone the edge.
And I guess that's why, again, we talk about that snub of Matt Kemp when their team did not make the playoffs. I believe it was 2011 when Braun won it. So I'm as well going to go with Clayton Kershaw. That season he had was absolutely ridiculous. And he missed time at the start of the year as well. He only made 27 starts, where some of the league leaders made as many as 34. And
he still had 21 wins.
Yeah, with 27 starts, he was able to get 21 wins. And that speaks to not only his talent to get with the 1.77 ERA, but the fact but he was able to go so deep into games.
And honestly, and MVP is most valuable player. If Kershaw was not on that team,